This is the meeting of the Southside Fire Station Building Committee. The Zoom chat will not be monitored. Participants who wish to speak must raise the hand icon until the chair asks them to unmute. Note that this meeting is being televised, streamed, or recorded by Bourne TV. If anyone in the audience is recording or videotaping, they need to acknowledge such at this time. Anybody? No? Okay. If anyone from the public wishes to access the meeting, they can do so by calling the following conference line: 1-929-205-6099. The Zoom meeting ID is 828-2900-8705, and the password is SSFS, all capital letters. All items within the meeting agenda are subject to deliberation and votes by the Southside Fire Station Building Committee. So we'll call the meeting to order, and I will take attendance. The first thing we'd like to talk about is the Article 97 process, and we'll conduct a workshop on that. Eileen would like to take a lead on that relative to...
Sure. We do have Rick and Spencer here as your OPM and civil engineer. We also have Stevie Fitch. So Stevie is our conservation agent. So that's an important key partnership for this group. So apologize for the late distribution of the memo, but really what this packet contains is, on the second page after the memo is an aerial, and my printer was set to black and white, but you can see the baseball field, and the baseball field is contained in about a 42-acre parcel. Is that right? Is it about 43 acres? So the baseball field is on about a 43-acre parcel, and that's that wooded rectangle that you see running along Shore Road. I think what we should do, or I think what we should ask the Conservation Commission and town meeting for, is that highlighted square just north of the baseball field is approximately 3.4 acres. It's in the corner of the larger parcel, so we're not taking a bite out of the middle of the habitat area, and we're leaving the habitat as intact as possible, and use that piece to explore for a fire station. It is, we would have the baseball field to the south, and that location would also limit the number of residential abutters that we would be working next to and living next to. So that's the area that I think we should move forward with asking to be taken out of Article 97 protection. Now, as you know, there's a process that goes along through this, and all the other backup documentation describes that process in detail for us. But right now, I have held an article for the committee on the annual town meeting. It's scheduled for the Finance Committee on Monday next week. It's scheduled for the Select Board on Tuesday next week, and it's scheduled with the Conservation Commission on Thursday of next week. So one of the things we'll have to talk about is how to break up and how to create teams to go to these different meetings and present the request, and who wants to take the lead on which group. So the article is held, town council is working on it, on drafting the article language. And the article is a 2/3 vote of town meeting to then request the special legislation that's required to take this out of Article 97 protection by the state legislature. Oh, so if we're successful at town meeting, over the summer, we would be working to do all of the requirements as far as surveys go, natural resource surveys, appraisals of the property, and we would have to identify land that would be transferred into Article 97 protection for the approximately 3.4 acres that would be coming out. So the Conservation Commission does have to unanimously support this request. They don't have to take a vote, though, before town meeting. They just have to take a vote before the land can come out of protection. So these items don't necessarily need to go in a certain order. We have to go to town meeting before we can file the special legislation. That's the only thing that has an order to it. But I think it's important to talk to the Conservation Commission as early as possible and then keep them involved in the way as we progress. The Conservation Commission is obviously going to be interested in all the work that we do for EOEEA when we do the surveys and when we do the analysis of the conservation value. So we don't need to put any pressure on the Conservation Commission to vote next week or to vote anytime soon. They can reserve their right to do that until we can provide them with all of the scientific studies that we would be doing for EOEEA.
Okay, so do I understand correctly that they will most likely defer until they get all the scientific data?
I mean, I would recommend that they not vote until they see the data.
So are we gonna then run into a problem with town meeting if we don't have the support of the Concom?
Town meeting is independent. The Conservation Commission, if they're comfortable indicating support, they can certainly do so, but they're not obligated to take a vote before town meeting.
Okay. I suppose if they say that that's their position, that they want to see the data, at least the town meeting members will understand that and say, okay, they're going to reserve judgment, and now it's up to us to go forward and get the data.
Right.
But we can't do that until they vote, town meeting.
We can do it. I mean, we can continue to, let's say that the vote at town meeting fails in May. We can continue to do the process if you want to, with the anticipating bringing it back for another vote in the fall. That's a decision that this committee will need to make. So we have to, by the end of the process, we have to have everything done.
Right.
And it's going to take some time. And we have a town meeting in May where we can go to the town meeting and explain it and set the table and ask for their permission. If they say, no, we want more information, we want you to go through the scientific studies, we want you to identify the land that's going to be mitigation, we want you to finish working with the Conservation Commission, then that's okay. We can still do that. We would have to go back to the town meeting at some point in the future.
Right.
Before we could file a special legislation.
Okay. But we would be gaining if we could file legislation earlier.
We would.
Right.
We would be gaining time if we could file the special legislation after the May town meeting and have the special legislation on track concurrently with doing all of the analysis, the surveys, the scientific work.
Right. Okay.
Yes, so there is a clear benefit, time-wise, schedule-wise, if town meeting would authorize the special legislation to be filed as soon as possible, because that is the most lengthy part.
The most lengthy part
Yes,
is the legislation.
is the special legislation. That's the piece that takes the longest.
Okay. So, do we want to start by looking at who's available those nights next week for the presentation? Or do we want to talk about the presentation?
Totally up to you.
Okay. So, I can do the finance committee. I mean, I'm on the finance committee. I would hope that they would support what I ask for, you know.
And I can be there too. If you can log in and kind of do the introduction,
Sure.
I can be there in person to answer any questions.
Perfect. Great. That's a huge help. Yep. So I'll take care of the finance committee. Do you want to take care of the selectmen?
Yeah, between Maui and I will take care of it on Tuesday night.
Perfect.
I'll be there as well on Tuesday.
Okay. And then Thursday for the Conservation Commission?
I can be there on Thursday as well.
Okay.
Same thing, if you kind of introduce it, I can be there to provide any supporting documents we have, how we ended up here.
Okay.
Okay.
So the chief and I can be the team for Thursday.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Good. Relative to the documents that you're going to be using, are you going to be using the list of properties that we looked at already? What do we want to present? We should present basically the same information at all three locations, right?
We should, yes.
Okay. So what do we want to use for documentation? We want to use our list of all the places that we've looked at over the last 5 years.
So, I mean, one thing to consider, I mean, I went through a list. Obviously, the first committee was formed, I believe, in 2018, second one was 2020. I've pulled out notes from the committee even before I was on it. And just thinking about even discussions we've had that didn't even make it to full committee votes, I have a list of 19 different properties that were thrown around at one time or another.
That's true.
Just for consideration. And then after we did that, we prioritized them based on the criterion assessment, location assessment. Oh, sorry, I probably should have that. Thanks. Based on that criterion associates assessment.
Right.
We came down to 6 properties. And then we really narrowed it down to 4 at that point. If you remember, we had Julius Kelly, the county land, the present station, the Pecasset station, motorway, and the conservation land. Those ended up in the top 4.
Mm-hmm.
And that's this matrix, right?
Yeah, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I agree. I think we should try to put together a consistent package for the teams to take to the different meetings next week. So can you send me a list of the 19?
Yep, I have that here today.
Oh, okay. So
Again, some of these they didn't even make it to the committee.
Mm-hmm.
They were ideas that, public brought up to us and said, oh yeah, what do you think about that? Well, it's only an acre and a half. It's not serious. We're not, for example, I'll use like Henry Drive,
Mm-hmm.
that the owner had reached out. He was only willing to sell an acre.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that. So I can provide all those, but a lot of them were never seriously
Yep.
considered. They were ruled out before they came to a committee vote.
So does the committee want to talk about the fact that, like, there has been an extensive, and just because they don't all come to the committee, I mean, they've been ruled out for a reason, prior to the committee, but they were still looked at and considered.
For example, the 30 Bowers Landing, the Santander Bank, it was brought up at the committee, but it was water district.
You're right.
So we never went any further with that, but it was talked about. That we need, I think, to get these out there. People say, did they even consider this?
Yep. So
Right.
as part of the materials, the package that the teams use, we should have a list of the 19 that I'll get from the chief. We'll include the matrix from September of '22. And then this is really what we've kind of been working down on since.
Right. Okay. So we have the list of the property locations, the criteria matrix, Now, how many times did you go out for an RFP on the first committee? Do you recall? Because you've gone out 3 times, correct?
No.
Twice.
I've gone out twice. There was one right before my arrival.
Okay, so there's 3 that I'm aware of.
I have that. It's, it was,
So you've been involved in 3, but
Two.
2.
It was a total of 3 completed.
yeah, the first RFP that I know of was August 2021, then October 2022, and February
There were
2024.
none by the prior committee?
August 2021.
Yeah.
Okay, so we went out 3 times. I think it's important that we say that we've gone out publicly and advertised for property on 3 separate occasions, and we only got 2 requests back, or 2 proposals back. You know, and they didn't fit the criteria.
When one of them withdrew.
Right. So the town received 1 response to each of the 3 RFPs. The first response and the second response was the same piece
Same
of
one.
land.
Right.
And that landowner eventually withdrew from negotiations. And the third RFP netted 1 response, which was significantly south of the response time area that we're looking for.
I mean, that's a huge issue in and of itself, that we've gone out and advertised, and nobody was willing to sell us any land, which we're required to do. Should we address the issue that we can't go out and solicit land from people, that they have to follow the RFP?
So I have a question into town council. I don't have a response yet. I don't have an answer yet, but I have a question into town council saying, we have issued 3 RFPs. We have no legitimate, responses that are usable. Can we, as the town, approach property owners? So I have asked that question to town council, but I don't know the answer yet.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be a good question, but at least that we've done our due diligence, we've put it out publicly, and we didn't get any valid responses back.
One quick question. Should we also mention at town meeting the number of 19 properties that we looked at, but they didn't fit the criteria? That's why
Absolutely.
we're down at 3, because the legislator probably is gonna wanna know the same thing.
Right, absolutely. We should have that list available, and maybe on a sheet of paper to hand out to the committee members, so that they see where we looked at.
Yes, I'll get that from the chief. We can run through the whole list of presentation materials we want, and then I will put them in a package, and then give them to give them to you, give them to Peter for Monday and Tuesday to lead the presentations, and then we'll take a set on Thursday to lead the presentation.
Okay. Not trying to put pressure on you.
Yeah,
Would that be available by tomorrow afternoon?
absolutely not.
No, okay, no, I'm just saying,
I feel like I'm at home.
no, I'm just seeing whether or not I can print it out and take it with me, so I have it in front of me
Yeah.
for Monday night, okay.
No,
I could probably get it printed out where I am.
yeah, no, I'm leaving this afternoon and I have a personal matter tomorrow, so this will be
Okay.
arriving on Monday.
Okay. Well, I can get some of it from the chief. I'll have some of it. Okay, that's good.
Wait,
Yes, sir.
on some of those original properties, like the chief mentioned, some of those were in the Water Resource District, and especially the town forest properties that we looked at were too close to the well fields.
Right.
And we should actually let them know that we were taking that into consideration.
Okay. So, But a lot of the other, I mean, a lot of these properties, either it just wasn't for sale, people weren't interested, we had some 21E issues on different properties. And from the legal standpoint, where we were working on is we could only talk to the people that actually came to us and came forward, so.
A lot of these 19 properties, well, several of them are privately owned properties with just houses on them.
Right.
That just look like
Good location.
good response locations.
Yeah.
You know, the property owners never came forward. These were just things that the committees had discussed before.
Right.
Looking at the GIS, things like that.
Okay.
So, I don't want to
A lot of
surprise
that was
property
just
owners that
the
we were
acreage of
considering
that
their
piece of
property.
Right,
That was the criteria we went by.
sure. All right, so we've got three steps in our presentations. After the RFPs, is there anything else that we should have in there?
I mean, I think one thing I can tell you is, based on the station's location, I mean, I would expect they would ask, well, how is it for locations?
Right,
And I just want to give these, you can write them down, I can present them. But when we did the response time study, keeping the Buzzards Bay Station where it is and the Sagamore Station is, and putting the new station at the conservation land that we're discussing, it was shown that we could hit 69.8% of all emergency calls in under 4 minutes in town, and we could hit 96.6% of all emergency calls in under 8 minutes with those three stations in those locations, which according to Travis Miller, who ran the study for us, are good times.
Yes,
That
and-
puts us within, really, within the NFPA response time standards. That's, yeah.
Yeah, and so we'll include the response, the heat map for the ball field site. I shouldn't call it the ball field site. For the Article 97 site, we'll include this in everyone's materials as well. And the response time percentages are actually on the matrix for the 4 and the 8. So we can, highlight those too.
right, okay. So we'll mention the response time study. Other than that, did you want to get the response time study on the number of EMS calls in these two villages?
I don't really know if that matters, the EMS calls, I mean, because we also respond. It becomes difficult because if one engine is out, this is why they did a fractile response rather than just 2 minutes to this street, 3 minutes to the next street. Because if the Buzzards Bay Station is out on a call, that Pocasset Station or the Southside Station may come over here.
Yeah.
So it's really difficult. I think we have to look at the town as a whole, how we're gonna, because this station is not solely providing coverage just on the south side.
Right.
They can get pulled north, the north can respond to the south side. So I think by using this fractile response, we were saying we can respond to this many calls in under this 4 minutes, and this many calls in under 8 minutes. How does that fit in with what the accepted standards are through the NFPA? I think that might be,
We talked about this at the last meeting, though, but this location serves a certain percentage of people,
yes, yep,
right?
yes, I remember now.
Okay, so is that an important figure to have?
Yes, I think, yes, I was missing what you were talking about, yes. When we talked about roughly the 33% of all calls in the town fall within that Pocasset Monument Beach district.
And 70% of calls on the south side.
Right, when we
Yes.
translate that.
Yeah, that's the one Wayne wants to make sure
That's-
we've got.
that's the one I wanna get out there.
70% of the calls on the south side.
Right.
Fall within the-
70%
Yeah.
of the calls on the south side are in this two village, Monument Beach and
Correct.
Pocasset.
Yes.
And that's where we're citing it, where we hit
Yes.
70% of the calls in under 4 minutes.
No, don't say
Don't
that.
say under 4
Don't say
minutes.
that.
Yeah, right, okay.
That 4 minutes is based on the whole
But-
town.
Right, but the
We're putting it
location-
closest to where the
Right.
clusters of calls are.
Okay,
So I can also we can put together speaking points, so you don't,
so we all say the same thing?
yeah. Because this can get confusing.
You're afraid of what I'm gonna say.
I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. No.
You never know what's gonna come out.
But especially, like, the data is complex with the response times.
Right.
And I mean, none of us do that for a living. So I think, but I think we have the study, we can provide the study, and we can provide, this is why, we can explain why this is a very good
Good location.
location for fire station purposes.
Right. Okay. Okay, so that gives us 5 speaking points, at least.
Can I put Stevie on the spot for a minute? And I know you can't speak for your board, and I would never ask you to, but can you anticipate some of the things that might be helpful for us to talk to the Conservation Commission at the very beginning? I mean, I know that this is gonna be an ongoing conversation with them, but some of the initial things that they might be worried about.
Stevie, do you want to come up to the mic, please?
Good morning, afternoon, whatever time. I'm Stevie Fitch, the conservation agent for the town of Bourne. And I'm looking through my notes. I think the Conservation Commission, they're looking forward to discussing or to hearing about this process. And obviously, public safety is very important to them as well. I think they're going to ask about the mitigation parcel. That's going to be kind of number one.
Okay.
I was kind of surprised that they didn't need that ahead of time. So I think the studies and the mitigation parcel are going to be what they want to hear about. They might have suggestions, actually, which I think would be great. Hopefully we'll have the entire board, including our associate members. Some of them are trained in, the conservation and biological studies, so they might have some really good suggestions. Other than that,
I'm sorry, you said mitigation parcels, but you said studies?
yeah, the
Conservation.
studies we were talking about, so the diversity of the land,
So whatever
I
we do-
believe it's old growth forest, so they're gonna wanna know, ecologically, how important, and they're gonna wanna make sure that the mitigation parcel is equal or better than what we would be giving up for the fire station.
Correct.
Connectivity to other parcels, because like Marlene said, we want to kind of look out for habitat fragmentation, so I'm glad we're going to the north of the ball field. I thought I had some notes, but maybe I was incorrect. Yeah, I think that's going to be really the most important part, just the no net loss, as EEA talks about. So if you guys can kind of explain that process this summer. Honestly, I was kind of surprised that they didn't need to vote before all town meetings. So I think that's actually going to be a good thing. That takes a little bit of pressure off. So how, presenting to them this next week, allowing them to start thinking about mitigation parcels that they might suggest, explaining the process, explaining who, if we hire somebody to go out to the land in order to make sure we're getting equal value, just explaining all of that would be great. And then also, I think talking about the note you made about whether we as a town can approach property owners, I think they're going to be curious about that, because I know they've mentioned a couple other properties in the past, and I think they'll bring that up again. So if you explain that we can't, go knock on people's doors and say, can we purchase your property, whether or not we can do that or not, would be helpful.
So I will say, we definitely can tell the Conservation Commission that so the third RFP, the chairman of the Conservation Commission asked us to, try to get the RFP in the hands of certain property owners, and we did that.
Okay, great.
So we had a short list of owners that we specifically
Awesome.
reached out to with the RFP.
Perfect.
And,
Okay.
and put it in their hands, so they were aware of it, and they, we can't force them. We can't force them
Eminent domain.
to
Right.
sell. Yeah, we're not going the eminent domain route yet, but we certainly can. We can make
Reemphasize.
that part of the the talking points for the RFP there, because at least the two RFPs that I was here for, we actively put it in the hands of certain property owners, both of them.
Okay, excellent.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, could I just say
Sure,
one thing to
yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Just to be clear, in the last two RFPs, we did all of the public notifications. It was also noted in the Central Register as well as combis in the local newspapers, word of mouth, and we did actively put it into some people's hands that we thought may be interested. But our first step was all of the public notifications.
Thank you.
Correct me if I'm wrong, too, didn't we also eliminate the size? To make it, to open it up to
We
more?
made it simpler.
A smaller size.
Yeah, less restrictive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the third go, we removed any minimum size.
Right, okay. All right.
I had a question actually for Stevie. So, we can be as cooperative with the Conservation Commission as they want us to be. So I think, would it be helpful if, because, this, not to disparage anybody at this table, but the people at this table are not necessarily the experts in who to secure for doing the conservation studies. So, like, do you think or should we ask the Conservation Commission if they want to actively participate with us in doing the studies, designing the studies, securing the consultants?
I think that would be a great idea. At least offer it. And I can think of a couple members who might be interested in that.
I think that makes sense. They're the experts.
Sure.
And I'd rather bring them along with us.
Right.
Yes, we need their vote at the end of the day, but also to do the right thing,
Yeah, and this can be an opportunity. Exactly.
If they're part of it, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Their input and expertise would be ideal.
Right.
This is
Right.
more than just a fire process, it's a town process. If we can get stakeholders and buy-in from various groups in town to help us out, and include them, it will go a long way towards showing that we reached out to all different avenues.
Would feel a little less like they're losing land and
Yeah.
instead, they're
Being
given
part
an
of the
opportunity
process.
to find some new areas that need protection.
Is anybody on, I guess, not to put anybody on the spot, but does anybody not want to actively offer to partner with the Conservation Commission? You can call me later.
Yeah,
I'm okay, I can.
I think we absolutely have to.
Yeah, Bobby Gray's very approachable, Stevie's approachable. I know all the members on the board from being around long enough.
We're a
so-
pretty nice group.
Yeah. But they also know when it's bull crap and you're just trying to snow on by them, so be prepared and be honest and straightforward instead of trying to talk your way through it. 'Cause they were,
So do we have any mitigation land available?
So we are working on that. I can't publicly say yes, but there are a couple of properties that are being seriously considered, and without kind of,
Sure.
putting those negotiations or conversations at risk, we're not going to be able to say on Thursday, we have it identified, but we can definitely say this is the key piece that we're working on very seriously.
but I think what we need to know is what we're looking at. It's going to be adequate to swap out because, what we're taking out may be a specific type of habitat or whatever it is. It's not just any lot for any lot, so we got to make sure that it's sufficient or
Right.
adequate.
My one question, if it takes two parcels of land to make up the 3.43, is that all right? Or do you have to have all 3.43 in one piece?
Oh, so, I guess So I would say we don't want to say, we're gonna take 3.4 acres out of contiguous open space, and we're gonna put in an acre here and a half acre there.
that's what
I would say that is probably not gonna be considered as valuable.
Right.
So
You
we,
have more push with one solid piece than you do with partial pieces.
yes, those conversations are, which I think is important why we take the pressure off the Conservation Commission, because those are the types of conversations, if we get into that situation, we have to have with EOEEA. They actually make the final determination on whether or not the land going into protection is, it doesn't have to be exactly the same. You know, it doesn't have to be, take out this type of habitat and put the exact same type of habitat in, but it has to be, so it can be a different type of habitat, but it has to be of equal or greater environmental value. So if we take out forest, but we identify, you know, important wetlands, so it doesn't have to be forest for forest, but it can be forest for something else of equal or greater environmental value. Which is why we have to do the environmental studies, which is why we need the Conservation Commission's help.
Okay.
And I guess, I mean, that would be a point of conversation we'd like to probably have with the commission, is, you know, once we determine what this is, like, what is their opinion on what types of land would be valuable to that? I mean, it is EOEEA's decision, but I think if the local Conservation Commission is backing us and saying, well, we like this that's going in.
Would it be possible to have the mitigation land chosen prior to a Concom vote?
Yes. Yeah, I think it would be almost impossible to get there, I mean, if we're thinking about things holistically town-wide, the Conservation Commission would not be making an informed and wise decision for the town without knowing what the
Mitigation land is.
what the mitigation land is.
Right. That makes sense. Sure.
Is it fair to say that the presentations next week are merely asking the three different committees for support of this process? And that there's a lot of information, this is the first step, and there's a lot of information that's in research and development that's going to need to take place before they're ever asked to fully approve it or vote for it?
So I think that's a hard question because of the timing of town meeting. So the Conservation Commission, I think the ask on Thursday is, we want to partner with you and we want to work through this process together, and we want your help in identifying it. Or we want you to tell us kind of right now, is this an absolute hard no? And you're never, ever, you're not even going to consider it. I think the conversation with the Finance Committee and the Board of Selectmen is different because those are about the town meeting warrant. And the town meeting warrant article is different than the Conservation Commission's
Correct.
role.
Yeah.
And the timing of the town meeting warrant is, I mean, it's not great because we just haven't had a chance yet to get a lot of the information done. So I'm curious, I mean, I put it on the agenda because I'm curious to hear what you want your town meeting strategy to be. I think we have a good strategy for the Conservation Commission because they don't have to take a vote right away, but town meeting has to take a vote on May 6th.
Can I add one thing to that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Obviously, I don't think anyone wants to station more than me or the firefighters we work with. I'm just gonna say a little bit, I feel a little uneasy asking for a vote of town meeting without having maybe the support of the studies behind us. and then and then I'm telling them to come back, and then we're back again, and we start, I don't know,
Yeah.
I wanted to just bring that up. I like to be prepared at meetings with all the answers.
Does he?
That brought up something I was thinking of. Are we better off not going to town meeting on this, on the special, and wait and go to the other one? That way we have a more of a time frame to get
So
our ducks in order?
I think the flip side of that question is, are we better off going to town meeting and explaining to them, this is what we have, this is how we got to where we are today. We need your support to move forward. We don't want to waste thousands of dollars of the town's money doing all this research study if you're not going to support us. So that's the two sides of it.
I definitely agree, and plus they'll have input to say yay or nay that we can get a feeling for
Yep.
if they don't like where the station's going.
I don't agree. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no.
I'm sorry. I don't agree with that approach because I think it's premature to, I would not be comfortable saying we're gonna abandon this and not spend the money if town meeting votes it down in May. Because I think we have to, in order for the town meeting to make an informed decision, we have to spend the money and we have to give them the information. It's the best place long-term for a fire station. Like, this is where we want to build a fire station. If the town is going to invest $20+ million and keep it in service for the next 100 years, this is the right location for it. We need time to overcome all the hurdles.
Right.
And to work with Concom and to get the answers that the town meeting voters need and should have and deserve. I'm deferring to you about the strategy because I don't know, in many towns I've worked in, it was not unusual at all for something to be defeated at town meeting
And then brought back.
I don't know if that's what your comfort level is with that here yet.
We can either pull it off and put it on for the fall, or we can bring it to them now. Yeah.
Can I say one more thing that might, so the thing we're gaining with May is time, right? For the special legislation process. But in reality, the State House doesn't do a whole lot over the summer.
It's an informal session, but so they may do some stuff, but anything they do over the summer is one less thing we have to worry about in the fall or the winter. That's a conversation, maybe we need to talk to Dave Vieira as a sponsor and
So-
legislature away from here to see what his feelings are.
I think the more informed the public is, the better off we will be.
Right.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
So is that
I
in
would
favor
go
of starting
forward
early
with- I would go forward with the town meeting,
and give them the information anyway?
put it up front to them.
So,
Do you do that as a report, or do you do that as the ask for the, a two-thirds vote for the special legislation is a big ask?
Yeah,
I would think that we're gonna get strong support from this side of the bridge, though,
Yeah.
to do it, to go forward, you know? So or we can do the report, we can do it either way. We can just submit a report, I'd get up and give the report, which I've done before, and bring them up to date, and say we're coming back in May, be prepared for it, in the fall. And we'll be prepared for it.
I just think that 6 months' time is, that's very valuable time to, granted, we may not have all the information, but at least they know the core reasons of why we want to go forward with this. So I'd rather go to town meeting with an article and start the process and just say, this is going to be a work in progress, and we'll be back in the fall to update you as well. So,
I like the idea of going forward. Give them the information, and as you said, even if they vote it down, we're still gonna go forward anyway with the process.
Yes.
Get the documentation, and then we come back again and say, based on the questions you had, here's what we did.
I want to be totally clear that a failed vote in May, it does not mean we're pulling the plug on it. We're still going to spend the money, we're still going to do the studies.
Okay.
If we fail in May, our plan is to still keep working on it to bring it back to the fall town meeting.
In Bourne, things have failed more than one time.
Hold on for one second. Carol?
Yeah, can you hear me okay, Wayne?
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, it might be premature, but we found in the beginning when we were working on, the firehouse committee initially, that meeting with the public, we might not have quite enough information, but if we could do it maybe a little bit before town meeting. First of all, we need a lot of press. We need to invite the press in and give a lot of things to them. But we could have a small meeting at the Procasset Community Center. I think that place across from the old fire station. It was really well attended when we did that, in the last round. And just, like you say, informing the public somewhat. We may not have a lot of answers or details yet, but they really like to take part. They really do. And I think it's kind of, to go to town meeting without something is maybe a little bit not a good thing.
Okay.
So I don't know, meet press and maybe having a small meeting, or if you can think of another place to have it. I mean, could even do the high school. But just something where people can kind of get wind of what's going on, even though they might not have all the details yet.
We can arrange that. That's no problem at all. Before we talk about how we're going to do that, do we want to take a vote or just acknowledge that we are going to go forward with the? We don't need a vote.
You don't
for
need
that.
a vote, no. Your
I'm-
vote
I'm
from.
com- I'm comfortable.
And,
Yeah.
Carol, are you comfortable going forward? Scott?
Absolutely.
Peter?
Yep.
Yep. Kyle? Yes. Okay, so we decided we're gonna go forward at the May town meeting and make a presentation, ask for the vote, and then, of course, if it fails, either way, we're gonna go forward and do our due diligence. All right? So, in preparation of that, just make sure we're all in the same place. We've got a list of talking points for the 3 meetings next week, and we already know who's going to make those presentations. We're going to go forward with the town meeting, and you're working on mitigation property. Okay? So relative to what Carol was just saying, getting ready for a town meeting presentation, the press is going to know about it. We'll maybe reach out to them, maybe even have a special session just for them to tell them where we are and give them data.
You definitely should, the committee should definitely organize like a
Yes.
push.
That's what I've got here. We can have a public meeting. I can arrange the PVA. That's no problem at all. What I would like to also suggest is that we do a public broadcast on Bourne TV with a very small subcommittee. The chief, certainly you should be there. I should be there. Maybe Peter. I think Rick would be important as the consultant, and you can explain all the things that we've done and looked at in the processes. Does that sound right?
yes.
Okay. And does anybody else have? Now, do they have a studio here? Don't they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is live. That's,
Okay.
what do you mean? What, to do that little,
Yeah, to do like a show, a half-an-hour show.
we can go over to the high school to the studio.
Okay, I can arrange that.
And it's call Jim McGrail or email her. And there will be at least 2 candidate forums coming up in the next 4 to 6 weeks. Us on Taylor's Point will be hosting one here in this room, probably early May, live on Bourne TV. And then Pocasset and Village and Catawba Civic usually do a joint one. So Bob Dwyer and what's her name in Catawba. So, it may not, you can ask maybe for 2 minutes or 3 minutes of time just to give a report to each of those groups, which way it gets out. It's outreach. It gets
Okay.
out there. In addition to a separate meeting, but there'll be ample opportunity to get the word out.
The only thing, nobody ever mentioned Sagamore. They're almost like left out of it. If there was some public meeting place in Sagamore, south or north,
We're limited.
it'd be a good idea, because they feel left out.
Yeah, we'll get the word out townwide, because if we do it over in that part of town, the fire station's the only place.
Public, I can't think of
I
another
mean,
place.
because South Sagamore, there isn't, the St. Teresa's Church is closed, there's really nothing down there unless the Belleville's want to open up the restaurant for us.
Okay, when and how do we want to reach out to the neighbors? Because that's going to be a point.
One suggestion I got, what we did for the DPW, which we felt the committee, it pushed it through first time at town meeting and we got it, is we took videotapes of the existing conditions that the men were working with. If you show the same thing on those two vacant, because I consider Monument Beach vacant, this firehouse itself, and show that clip, I think it would wake a lot of the town up.
Okay? We can make some clips and the studio can show those as well.
Yeah.
But what about the neighbors?
But I said neighborhood associations can take care of that.
Is there a neighborhood association over in that area of Shore Drive?
On my Beach Civic,
Monument Beach Civic?
yeah. Lori Agrello, Dave Cody, not Dave Cody, what's his name, is just retired. Kiki and Phil Turo are very active. So Amy and George, Amy Sharp, George Slade. So we have Mo Beach contacts we can get to.
Okay. Maybe we can ask them to come to a private meeting and some of us can be there.
Well, no private meetings.
No, yeah, no. A neighborhood meeting.
Neighborhood meeting, yes,
A neighborhood meeting.
yes.
Inclusive, please. We don't want things behind the door.
No. What I meant was a meeting for the neighborhood.
Yeah, a meeting,
For them,
yes.
Dedicated for them, yeah.
right. So that we can we can get their concerns up front. We can consider their concerns when we're doing our study of the property. That type of thing. Rick?
This may be too soon, but talking about the existing conditions of the facilities, we did do a marketing campaign for a community in southeastern Massachusetts that required a substation. They had one station. And we had a very hard time getting the residents to realize the need for the substation. So we actually filmed a response with a clock up in the right-hand corner of the film. And coincidentally, in this town, the town was divided by a rail system. So coincidentally, while we were filming, a train was going by. So we were able to show how long it actually took for first responders to get to the outskirts of town. And that may be very valuable here as well at some point, because you could show how quickly a first responder would be there from the proposed site as compared to where they operate out of now. It becomes pretty insightful rather than just reciting response time studies.
Believe it or not, though, where they are stationed right now, it's not too far from where the new station would go. So,
Right.
It wouldn't show that much savings in time. You're not even talking a mile.
But it may show the value of that location.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
Show the value of it and,
Yeah.
and show the need for what's happening, what the limits are in the existing station.
Sure.
Thank you.
I definitely do think we have to make the point that the two current stations on the south side are unusable.
It's obsolete.
Right.
I think we've bought time as far as nothing of a major disaster or a bad thing has happened on the south side. We're not equipped with those two stations that Especially if one gets pulled over here to Buzzards Bay to fight something, to help out Buzzards Bay, Falmouth, they pull them to Falmouth. Yeah,
I mean, we can't even fit the stuff in it. Like, we had to put almost $250,000 in a station that's junk because we had to fit an ambulance in it. Like, this is not sustainable.
and it's only gonna get worse before it gets better.
Yeah. Well, these bridges,
And Wayne,
Yes,
sorry, I can't find my raise the hand thing on my.
that's okay.
I have met so many people that were shocked. They thought that Pocasset and Monument Beach were still fully capacitating and operating. And they had no idea that those stations were no longer usable.
Right,
So it's really big point.
thank you. Okay. Anything else that we should do? Any other suggestions on notification? All right. So why don't we make the presentations next week? See how those go, and then, we can have another meeting in the 1st of May. I'm sorry.
Well, I think we probably, I mean, we're definitely, I don't know, I feel like town meeting's coming up. We have to get some
Town meeting
on the,
is when?
May 6th.
Oh,
Yeah, like, we need stuff on the calendar.
May 1st and 2nd, I know 2 of us will be out of commission.
so I'll be back, April 14th. So we can start doing some stuff that week to get it ready. When are you coming back?
28th
Of
April.
Oh, Jim McGrail.
28th of April.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll send you our phone number.
Have a good vacation.
So we may have to have somebody sit in for you.
Yeah, the assistant chief will be acting in my absence.
Okay.
I think that week of April 22nd is the key week to, like,
Get information out.
yeah, to have, that's where you do your neighborhood meetings, that's where you do your studio work. I think that's the week
The week of April 22nd.
yeah. And even into the week of April 29th,
Yeah.
I guess, yeah. But I would go, we just don't want, we don't want to be doing a neighborhood meeting 2 days before town meeting.
Okay.
So I think the week of April 22nd is really,
That's a good week for me. I can do a lot that week. I'm available.
so Wayne, you're going to set up the Bourne TV and the PVA.
Yeah.
So those are the things you'll probably want to slate in for that week of April 22nd.
Do we want to try to meet with the neighbors that week?
22nd.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you try to do all of your public outreach
Let it sit.
so you're not talking to some people really early and some people really late. Compress
Yep.
all your public outreach into that week. You take your show on the road and you do it that week.
Okay.
Yeah.
That will be our goal.
Okay, we can do that.
Okay.
And the chief and I'll get his information and we'll put together the talking points. And you may not have them until Monday, but I'll get them out to you as soon as possible.
Okay.
When do you leave?
I leave Saturday morning, so I'm leaving actually tomorrow afternoon.
Okay. You might get them on Sundays.
Yeah,
Which
that's
isn't
fine.
gonna help.
No, that's fine.
Okay,
I'll just find a print. I'm sure I can find a printer down there.
okay. I can also print things, so you can come, so if you want to look at them while you're, or, no, because you're going to be doing the FinCom from away.
Correct.
Got it.
So I gotta have it with me.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
I can come in Monday or whatever and pick up whatever materials, if I need any paper materials.
I think most likely everything will go out in the board's packet.
Okay, that's fine.
We'll send a supplemental.
All right.
Okay. Anything else that we,
Does your board want paper or digital?
What would you be presenting, or?
Just like maps and kind of the background.
Bring paper.
Okay.
You can bring it the night on Thursday.
Okay.
And pass it out. If you have something, like I included in the memo.
Okay.
So if I can always do it digitally, but
Okay.
Conservation Commission, town meeting? I think we've hit what we have on our agenda for topics. Any other suggestions for outreach from the committee members?
All right, I'll email you if I find something.
Okay, that's great.
I'll look through the past notes.
Okay. Does anyone else have any concerns that we haven't discussed already? No? You all set? Okay. Everybody comfortable? Good. All right, let's move on. We sent you the meeting minutes from 3/5 last month, and we didn't take the vote last month. And we had, I sent out the minutes this morning from Rob. Rob was unable to be here today. So, do I have a motion on the minutes for March 5th?
So move
Second,
for the minutes of 3/5/2024.
Of 3/5/24. Okay. Carol, are you in favor?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Peter?
yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Kyle?
Yes.
I'm a yes.
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 Okay.
And motion to approve minutes of 3/12/2024.
Okay, Peter made the motion.
Second.
Kyle? Okay. Carol? Yes? Approval of the minutes of 3/12/24?
Through pilot error, I was not able to attend, I had the wrong minutes and it's the wrong number and it was a mess.
Okay.
So I wasn't able to be here.
Abstain. Peter? Scott?
Yes.
Peter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carol?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 7 yes and 1 abstention. Okay. Do we want to set the next meeting date now, or do we want to wait until?
Till we get more information and you send an email out that we have a meeting at certain date and time.
Time. All right, will do.
So we will have to post those, so you'll be able to give me at least 48 hours notice.
Yep.
Okay.
So the PVA meeting will need a 48-hour notice.
Yep. Mo Beach Civic,
In the neighbors.
yep.
I'll reach out to the Mobies contingent and see if they want to do something, maybe joint with all three, so we can, don't have to go all around town throughout the week.
Okay.
I'll see if, and I'll reach, actually,
If they would like to do it at the PVA or whatever, the same time.
yeah,
Okay.
I'll see if there's any buy-in, and then you can talk to Bob Dwyer or your wife and Sue Barachini and see
Yes.
about on there, and Katomet. I really have to talk to MJ about that part of town, because I don't
Yeah.
really have contacts down in Katomet.
Okay. We'll reach out. But we know that if we have any meeting that we're going to attend, we have to publish it 48 hours in advance.
Yep.
Okay. And for any meeting that we have, we should prepare a PowerPoint presentation for it. If any documents you have, if you could send them to me before you leave.
Okay.
Then I'll put it into a PowerPoint.
once, let's say in a perfect world, this station is built and opens, is Grey Gables gonna be in the response time, or is Grey Gables still gonna be are they gonna be serviced by the Buzzards Base Station?
The
I'm just trying to-
intention is that will be covering the entire south side.
Oh, from rotary to rotary?
Yes.
Okay. All right, no,
Probably
I'm just
about
thinking that, the reason I'm asking
schools.
is if I need to reach out to Grey Gables Association as well at the same time to get their buy-in on it. So, all right.
Okay? Any other information to come before, any other matter to come before the committee?
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
By Peter, and who's second? Dustin? Who's second? Peter? Okay, we have a motion to adjourn. Carol?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Peter? Peter? Kyle?
Yes.
Wayne?
Yes.
Yes.
Unanimous. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Stevie.